Welcome to the Church of Thomas. Theme of Reconciling, 7/13/08. The concept of reconciling opposing forces is strongly emphasized in the Reconciler Gospel of Thomas. We do not think that there should be animosity between the divisions arbitrarily made in this world. These divisions have arisen from human ways, not from God's law. These are examples of the factions and the response given by Jesus to Thomas. These are the sayings of Jesus written down by the Apostle Thomas. Many of these sayings have many levels of meaning. I will only highlight the ones that harmonize with the theme of this sermon. Science, intellect versus religion and spirituality. This war of words over how to explain our world started as a defensive dogma in the Catholic Church that has driven a wedge that has heightened today. Without both working together, we are crippled by the lack of understanding that can come from letting them coexist in harmony. Reconciler Gospel of Thomas, verse 47. Jesus said, "It is impossible for a person to mount two steeds or stretch two bows at the same time. It is impossible to serve two bosses. A person would respect one and treat the other with contempt. This does not mean that reason and spirit are two masters. These two should work as a team to reach the one." The contention between male and female. The idea that women are unworthy of equal status comes from many sources in the history of human society. This verse stands as a stark reminder not to look down on the other gender. To serve God requires only a willing heart and the actions that flow from God filling that person with purpose. At this time in history, women were property and slaves. Peter's plea to Jesus to remove the women from the discussion and teachings about God was perfectly normal for a man of his time. But as usual, what people believe and what God wills can be diametrically opposed. Jesus scolded Peter by reminding him that they were all children of God. Reconciler Gospel of Thomas, verse 114. Peter said to Jesus, "Let Mary and all the other women leave us. They are the root and branch of sin. They are the source of all temptation. Women are not worthy of eternal life." Jesus responded, "I say to you males, do not look down on a female, because until you are made over to be as a female, you will be barred from the full inheritance in the sight of the One." Jesus said, "Until you are like the lowest of the angels, being in balance of body and soul, reconciling of the male and the female, you will remain on the edge of the full glory and joy of the brilliance of the One." The One is all that was, is, and will be. Being on the edge, you will still be loved and beloved. The One knows that it is a hard lesson to learn. Others will rejoice in the affirmation of what they have learned, or, like angels, have always known. Jesus said, "I myself will lead Mary of Magdala in order to make her male, so that she too may become a living spirit, resembling you males. Every woman who will make herself male will become a full inheritor as well in heaven and full light of the One." We now understand how our brains work in a much more complicated fashion than at this time, but it is interesting that it was talked about in the Reconciler Gospel of Thomas. This opposition was between the right and left sides of the brain. In modern times, we have discovered that the roles of the different hemispheres of our brains, the left side rules what we consider rational thought. The right side rules what has roughly been described as creativity and imagination. Brain injury to one side can leave the person unbalanced in their perceptions. Jesus was teaching to listen with both sides of our brains. Reconciler Gospel of Thomas, verse 33. Share from the housetops what I will tell you. Remember what I say in the right ear, but also hear me with your left ear. No one can be a light in the darkness without trying to share that illumination. Everyone who enters this person's presence will see its light. Not acting on truth gives consent to the lies. Your silence cannot shield you. There has been a great deal of debate about whether we should be spiritual versus body. There is no division seen in the Church of Thomas. The body and soul. Our bodies have needs to stay alive and more needs to stay healthy. God understands the needs of both body nourishment and what our souls need to be fulfilled and healthy. Reconciler Gospel of Thomas, verse 11. Jesus said, "The earth and the solar system will cease to exist. Those who, walking in the dark, are not alive though they walk around. Those who walk in the light and are aware are not dead and will not die. You consume what is dead, but by eating it, it becomes part of you and alive again. When you live in the light, how will you live? When you were born, the one in you became two. You became body and soul. How will you reconcile the needs of both?" Reconciler Gospel of Thomas, verse 22. When Jesus saw suckling infants, he said to his students, "These suckling infants are from the one. Being like them is the way to enter heaven." They asked Jesus, "If we are innocent like children, can we enter heaven?" Jesus said, "You must reconcile the two becoming one again. You must make the inside like the outside and the outside like the inside. You must make the above like the below. You must make the male and the female one and the same. You must make the male not only be the male and the female not only female. There will come a time when you are able to craft an eye to replace an eye, and a hand to replace a hand, and a foot to replace a foot, and rebuild a likeness to replace a likeness. Then you will enter the kingdom." Reconciler Gospel of Thomas, verse 87. Jesus said, "Incomplete is the body that is dependent on the body, and the soul that depends only on the soul. Only in partnership that builds both will you become whole." Reconciler Gospel of Thomas, verse 89. Jesus said, "You make a big show of washing the outside of the cup. The one made the inside as well as the outside. Body and soul have the same value, together making the whole." Reconciler Gospel of Thomas, verse 112. "Pity the flesh that depends on the soul. Pity the soul that depends on the flesh. They must be in equal partnership because they are a matched team of horses. Harness them to become better." God bless the whole world, no exceptions. Angel Eliza.